This is the sketch that I made last year, so this is what I'm going to try to build. It's a beehive shaped oven. These are the bricks that I made last year. I've been storing them in my tool shed for a whole year, and you can see that they're very dry and ready to go. So let's see how they work out as we try to build with them. These are my raw materials. I've got 31 bricks in all, 4 big curved ones and then 27 smaller ones. I discovered to my delight that I can cut these with a brick saw on my skill saw, and they come out very nicely. The basic idea here is to make this a round oven in its base. So the first thing I did was to lay out a circle on the platform using an ancient method. And then I'll begin to place the bricks and mortar them into place along that circular line. Now, a really important question here is how big should the opening be? So, executive decision, I think it should be this big. This is the pan, the exact one that more than likely I would use to cook a large piece of meat or a turkey or whatever. So this will be the measure, and so as long as this goes in, that'll work. Now when I go to build this, I'm going to be tilting these bricks a little bit to get the angle that I want, and that decreases the opening a little bit, so I'll have to scoot it back just a tad to and lose a little bit of the absolute roundness, but just to keep the opening at the size that I want. This immediately begs the other question, which is how the heck am I going to build the opening to this? And I think the solution I'll use is with a piece of scrap sheet metal to actually make a sheet metal frame, and then pack brick and mud around that to create an opening that I can close more securely. So we'll see how that works. Here's an idea that didn't work. Remember, I was going to use a Pilates ball as the form. Well, it's not exactly the right shape, and it's a little bit too high, and I didn't have enough bricks, so I rethought it and used another type of form. I've made myself a form here that I'll be able to use to sort of eyeball in how the brick should be, what angle, and then as I actually do the mortaring, I'll adjust things so that they fit into form, so that in the end I'll have something that approximates the shape that I wanted. And then for the opening, I've got this piece of sheet metal. This was used for making a valley on the roofing. It's just a leftover piece of metal. It's good and heavy. So I've marked on here the door is going to be this wide and this high, which I think is certainly wide enough to get that big pan in, and I think it's high enough for most turkeys or other large pieces of meat. So it'll be like 10 inches high and 13 inches wide. Bueno, homies, I'm ready to start here. So I've got my gear here. Here's the mortar that we're going to use, and I've got the first row of bricks laid out here and propped up with a piece of wood into the shape that I need to conform to this shape guide here. I'm leaving a margin of a 1/2 to 3/4 inch on the outside to allow for the slurry of mud that we're going to pack on the outside of this thing to give it a smooth finish. So I'm going to mortar down the first row of bricks here, and then let it dry and build it up tomorrow and the next day from there. So this is the first course, is mortared down, can see it's going to be pretty crude. The interesting thing here is going to be how to fill all these chinks. There's going to be a million chinks, and my plan, I think, is to fill them with Adobe. This is about 30 or 40% of the way through the construction here, so I've got 1.5 courses of Adobe bricks up, and I've filled in the chinks between the bricks with dirt and sort of smoothed it over. And I'm using just a mud mixture at this point. It's Adobe and sand and straw, what the bricks are made out of. I've abandoned the use of commercial mortar so far. And so I'm going to finish this course here. All those bricks piled on the inside are just holding up the ones that are on the outside. Instead of a form, I'm just doing it that way. And so I'll get this other course done today, and maybe use the excess mud to cover the that tin there for the oven box, or the door box, and then come back tomorrow or a day later after the mud's dried out some and put the final course on top and the cap, and then I'll be ready for the slurry that covers the wall of the whole thing, so that it'll all come out being smooth and paintable. And for that one, I think I am going to use a cement mix in there just to make it smoother and weather resistant. Okay, so here's the completed second course of bricks. Of course, all the bricks on the inside are just holding up the ones on the outside, so they'll stay there until this is dry. I've got 2 courses of bricks up now, and I've got, I reckon, probably one more, following the same slope. We'll angle it in, and then it'll be close enough where I can put the cap piece on. I may have to put a piece of wood bracing or something in there to span it to get the cap on, but I think it's going to be fine. And I've started to mud in the door. I've put 2 pieces of rebar across here because this is kind of an unsupported part, supported only by the sheet metal, which is probably strong enough, but just to be sure, I've put some rebar across here. And I'm going to put a layer of mud around this door here. So now I've got, before I get the next course up, I've got another problem to solve, which is the vent hole. There has to be a vent hole kind of at the top of the chimney, not at the very tippy top, but towards the top. The literature recommends it to be about the size of a soda can, so I may actually use that. The other issue is you have to be able to stop it up, so I got to make sure that I have it of a size that I can stop it up with. Anyway, I'm thinking it's looking pretty good. At least it's beginning to look like it's in oven shape.